Hi everybody, and welcome in the second in this series of videos where I listen to classic albums for the first time. And as you will have seen from the title, and you can see over my shoulder, today's classic album is Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, which you may already be aware is the album that has inspired this series. Excuse my hair, I've just got up and washed and had a shower, so it's still sorting itself out. Yes, so if you're not familiar how this came about, when I was showing off my CD collection, which is just off camera, which is why I'm gesticulating that way, I showed this CD, which is the best of Pink Floyd, A Foot in the Door. And I mentioned then that I didn't really get Pink Floyd. I like some of their, I like some of their tracks, but I don't get why they're so hugely popular. And Paul Aiden, aka the Vinyl Junkie, suggested that what I really need to do is actually sit and listen to an album in full, preferably either Dark Side of the Moon or I think he said Wish You Were Here, which was his other favourite. Switch the lights off, let it take me over, and it might be a good idea to then film my reaction to it. That's what inspired this series. A bit more about Pink Floyd and my relationship with them, for want of a better phrase. When I was growing up, I sort of knew bits and bobs. No, Brick in the Wall Part 2, is it? That was the single. It was number 1, Christmas 79, was it? So I would have been 4. So I was aware of that song. Money, I distinctly remember being used as beds on TV shows. You know, normally when they were talking about financial stuff, it would play in the background. Couple of other tracks I was vaguely aware of. Great Gig in the Sky, I think, was used on a British Airways advert, memory serves. But other than that, that's about all I knew. Bit later I got a compilation that had See Emily Play on it, and I've always loved that song. So in my head I've always preferred early Pink Floyd because of that. Whether that's true, I don't know, because I've not heard enough of their stuff to really justify that comment. I mean, over the years I've heard bits and bobs, but never enough to make me really want to investigate them. But then Live 8 happened, and there was a big hype that Pink Floyd were getting back together. And I thought, well, this will be it. I will watch them, and hopefully I'll realise what all the fuss was about, and I will get into their music. And I watched it and it did nothing for me, really. I, understood the historical significance of it. It was alright, but it seemed a bit boring to me, if I'm going to be honest. So that kind of put me off going any further. They played Comfortably Numb at Live 8. I vastly preferred the Scissor Sisters version, which I know many of you will consider sacrilege. But it was the first version of it I knew, and it was fun and it was exciting. And then they played this, in my ears, dirge. Comfortably Numb is on here, so I've heard their proper studio recording. I still prefer the Scissor Sisters version, if I'm honest. But yeah, so I was sort of, I bought this. I think it was, H&B were doing 3 for £20 or something like that. And I bought this as part of it, just to see if it would inspire me. And it was alright. I think, I don't dislike Pink Floyd, I just don't get them, if you like. I admire their musicianship. They've written some nice songs, but they don't wow me, and I don't understand why they wow so many people based on what I've heard to date. So yes, but, I want to get to like them, I want to understand. I'm always happy to discover new music. So, as I say, Paul suggested this, and not long after, my local record store had Dark Side of the Moon. It was £20. I used one of my loyalty cards on it, so basically I got this for a tenner. I'm not sure which pressing this is. It's certainly not an original, it's a later one. I doubt that's the original, it might be. Don't know enough about it. I'm suspecting this might be a little bit noisy. It's, it was cleaned before it was sold to me, and I've cleaned it as well, but there's still a couple of areas where it looks like it might be noisy, and there is a very light scratch throughout side 1, which might be noisy, and I know Pink Floyd have lots of quiet in their music, so that might be a bit distracting, but I'll try not to let it distract me. As for the songs on Dark Side, quite a few are on this CD. Let's see. Time, Great Gig in the Sky, Money, Brain Damage and Eclipse. So that's what half the songs are on here. So I have heard them, but not in context. It's one of the context even. It's one of the things Paul said, is that their work does sort of need to be listened to as a whole rather than individual tracks on a compilation. So yeah, I think that's about all I need to say in advance. I'm going to switch you off, put this on, switch the lights off, lay back and let it wash over me. And then I'll switch you back on and give you my first impressions. So fingers crossed, I'm going to love it. But we shall see. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so I've listened. And I don't know, is the short version. I liked the album. I'd go so far to say I enjoyed the album. Did it wow me? Don't think it did. Oh, I don't know. It's a difficult one. I don't get all the talking throughout, dotted about these tracks. They didn't seem to add anything to the songs. They didn't seem to... Oh, I don't know. I was right, it is a noisy press. There's a lot of crackle. The scratch on side 1 didn't have any effect whatsoever. It didn't skip anywhere. There was a very, very, very tiny skip at the start of Money on side 2, which was probably just something in the groove, but it wasn't enough to, you know, affect the enjoyment of that track. Yeah, I really don't know. It's a difficult one to talk about. Let's go through it track by track. So Speak to Me, which I was sat here in the dark. I wasn't looking at the track listing. I did at one point have a quick, got the torch on my iPod and had a quick look to see what exactly was going on track wise. Speak to Me, I just assumed as I was listening to it was the intro to Breathe, which in a way it is. Sort of washed all the effects and everything, just sort of washed over me. That Breathe I liked. On the Run, which I just took to be an outro to Breathe, I liked. This album has made me appreciate David Gilmour's guitar work a lot more than I have done in the past, certainly, and I liked his guitar solo on that. Time I liked, and the way it went back into Breathe, and then the Great Gig in the Sky. I already knew. I mean, the CD I have only listened to once, so even the tracks I sort of knew from that, I didn't properly know. So what I found in the Great Gig in the Sky is that I didn't remember the slightly tuneless bit in the middle, which I'm sure was deliberate, but where she sort of went out of tune a little bit. But yeah, overall, side 1 was, you know, as I say, I liked the album. Side 2, Money, I think it's just a great track. It was surprisingly, you know, it's surprisingly funky for a Pink Floyd track. I like the addition of a saxophone, which was also on Us and Them, which I also liked, which was the next track. I think with Us and Them, the vocal delivery could have been a bit more soulful for it to really work for me, but overall I liked it. Then Any Colour You Like, which was another instrumental. Again, it just sort of works. It could have been an outro to Us and Them, and it could have been an intro. You know, it wasn't really a track in its own right. And then Brain Damage and Eclipse, which really are one piece again. I really like, funnily enough, when I was in Sounds in Southsea, which as I record this was 8 days ago. No, 9 days ago. I'm recording this on Sunday the 20... whatever it is. What's the date today, Alexa? Alexa, what's the date today? Alexa, what's today's date?
Today is Sunday the 26th of January.
26th of January. And I went there on Friday the 17th. That was playing as I went in. I think Brain Damage had just sort of started. He had a big CD jukebox thing that was playing the music. Yeah. As I say, overall I like it. It hasn't wowed me. As I say, I could do without all the speaking bits and some of the sound effecty bits. Some of them worked. Time works. You know, the clocks at the start of that. And obviously money, the ka-ching bit on the cashiers, on the cash registers. I really don't get the talking. It didn't seem to add anything. I didn't really, not having studied the lyrics, I haven't really sensed a theme to the album on first listen. So the talking didn't sort of add anything to that. The only tracks I can think of that have got talking on them that I know that have sort of worked are where it's to sort of form a party vibe. You know, so it's like, you know, there's people talking at a party and the music kicks in or fades, you know. And that tends to work. On this, it was just random speaking stuck into songs and I just didn't get it personally. Yeah, musically, as I say, I really liked it. I just didn't love it. It's made me want to check out more. I will try and hunt down a reasonably priced copy of Wish You Were Here and then see from there if I go any further. When I do get Wish You Were Here, I will do another one of these for Wish You Were Here as well. I think this could be a will I get into Pink Floyd series as much as a listening to classic albums series. Yeah, it's an album I want to hear again. I will play again. It might even be an album I play fairly regularly because it works as an album. I don't know. My first reaction to this, I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. I say I really want to love Pink Floyd, although my bank balance probably doesn't. I certainly, as I say, I admire them. See, I've always got this nagging feeling. It's because I've never taken any drugs. I don't get them. You know, the strongest drugs I've ever had are alcohol and caffeine, and I don't even drink caffeine anymore for medical reasons. And alcohol I'm not a huge consumer of. I just have the occasional one. My brain's too straight to fully appreciate them. I really don't know. I'd say the general conclusion is it's a good album. I can see why it's regarded as a classic. I can see why people love it, but I'm not entirely convinced it's for me. I didn't mind the instrumental tracks in between the songs and the way they all blend together. I thought that worked well. I would quite like to hear an album with more actual songs on it. I don't know. I'm not going to satisfactorily conclude this video, I don't think. So, yeah. I think you can sort of get the gist of my reaction to it, though, from that. It'll be when I start doing proper album reviews, it'll be interesting how I look at it track by track, and especially with the instrumentalizations. Just made up a word, I think. Yeah. I'm not going to satisfactorily say I love Pink Floyd, because that album hasn't made me love Pink Floyd. I appreciate Pink Floyd from that album. I like Pink Floyd from that album. I liked the album. as I say, it just didn't wow me. But I'm just repeating myself over and over again. Okay, so this is the series where I look at or listen to classic albums for the first time. I need suggestions, please. I've got ideas in my head. There's a couple that I really don't want to listen to, but I feel I should get Rumours by Fleetwood Mac, even though I have very little time for Fleetwood Mac after the Peter Green years. But I feel I need to listen to that album. So I will probably get that at some point. But yes, I want classic albums. Not, as I've mentioned before, not your favourite album by a particular band. I want albums that are widely regarded as classics. Albums that are on, best albums ever lists by, Rolling Stones and Q Magazine and... Rolling Stone and Q Magazine and Mojo and, the press and websites, and not just, Joe Bloggs' favourite album, not just your favourite album, but albums that are considered classics. Yeah. So please, you can stick it in the comments below. You can message me on Instagram. That's linked below. You can email me if you go to my website. That's linked below. It's got the contact details for email on there. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. Thank you for watching. Tell me what you think of this album below. Please do. Tell me what you think I might be missing in it. If there is a sort of overarching. If there is a theme to the album that I'm missing, please explain it to me, and then maybe I'll be able to listen to it a second time knowing that. And, it'll help might then click. Yeah, just comment below, basically. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks. Bye.